We are introduced to Brian Chen, a tenacious young lawyer navigating the challenges of her profession. The episode opens with Brian Chen being pressured into drinking with a client at a restaurant. Her client is relentless in his attempts to get her drunk, which forces her to seek solace in her best friend, who accompanies her. While at the restaurant, Brian Chen overhears a conversation where a woman is trying to hire Kevin Wang, a prominent lawyer, but he turns her down. Misunderstanding the situation, Brian Chen mistakenly perceives Kevin Wang as a male publicist. This misunderstanding sets the stage for their first official meeting, leading to comedic and tense moments between the two. Brian Chen ultimately decides to stand up against her client's harassment and abandons the contract, demonstrating her principles and strength. After leaving the restaurant, she and her friend feel empowered, although they soon witness a man in a Bentley drive off, emphasizing their current struggles. Brian Chen soon secures a position at Eric Lee Law Firm, a well-respected establishment in the legal industry. To facilitate her new job, she finds a rental house near the firm. This leads to an unexpected reunion with Kevin Wang, who is revealed to be the same man she previously misunderstood. Both are now in a predicament of sharing the same rental property due to a mix-up with the landlord, who is in the middle of a divorce. Despite their initial hostility, the landlord suggests they share the rental. Brian Chen is persuaded by the prospect of taking on a divorce case as her first job, and Kevin Wang offers to cover 2 months' rent if they can share the space. Brian Chen, feeling it's a good opportunity, reluctantly agrees, but insists on certain ground rules, specifically banning any women from visiting Kevin Wang in the apartment. Brian Chen's perception of Kevin Wang starts to shift when she overhears him engaged in professional conversations, noticing that he articulates legal concepts well, which causes her to rethink her initial impressions of him. The next day, she arrives at Eric Lee early, eager to make a good impression. However, she notices that Kevin Wang's photo is missing from the firm's wall, highlighting his ambiguous status within the firm. Brian Chen is assigned as Kevin Wang's assistant, a move met with skepticism from her colleagues, who seem to be aware of Kevin Wang's high expectations and previous assistants' resignations. Upon realizing that they are living together, she apologizes profusely, but Kevin Wang warns her to manage her feelings and maintain professionalism. Later that night, Brian Chen hears strange noises from Kevin Wang's room and, driven by curiosity, she enters to investigate. She accidentally damages a valuable item, a sculpture, causing chaos. Kevin Wang returns to find her in his room, leading to a confrontation where he kicks her out of the apartment, further complicating their relationship. With no other options and lacking funds for a hotel, Brian Chen is forced to spend the night at the office, setting the stage for future interactions and character development. Brian Chen settles into the storage room of the Eric Lee Law Firm after being kicked out of her previous living situation. In her new space, she discovers various items that criticize Kevin Wang, the firm's managing partner, indicating a negative perception of him among staff. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang struggles with insomnia, highlighting his intense work ethic and the pressure he feels. His colleague, Sham Wu, attempts to assist him by arranging for a psychiatrist, but the session yields no practical advice, leaving Kevin Wang feeling frustrated and helpless. After an encounter in the bathroom, Kevin Wang instructs Brian Chen to join a meeting regarding a recent case. During the meeting, Kevin Wang expects contributions from his team, but Brian Chen, feeling overwhelmed and unprepared, fails to make a meaningful input, leading to his stern reprimand. Brian Chen overhears conversation in the office early the next morning and discovers that Kevin Wang has arrived for work. She awkwardly admits to being an early bird and attempts to engage him in conversation, but he remains distant. Noticing his dark circles, Brian Chen playfully suggests he wear sunglasses, which he does later in the day. The contrasting personalities of Sham Wu and Kevin Wang become apparent, with Sham Wu being more approachable and friendly toward everyone, including the new hire, Brian Chen. Sham Wu expresses concern for Kevin Wang's health, given his sleepless nights. Brian Chen pretends to work overtime to spend time at the office, but when Kevin Wang continues working late, she finds herself increasingly fatigued. He later pretends to leave, prompting her to quickly prepare for bed in the storage room. When Kevin Wang discovers Brian Chen in the storage room, they share a candid conversation. Brian Chen reveals her ability to sleep anywhere, showcasing her adaptability in the workplace. Brian Chen prepares herself breakfast and coffee, and when she offers Kevin Wang coffee, he advises her not to waste time on him, highlighting his focused demeanor. Brian Chen expresses her desire to be involved in an important case. Kevin Wang reluctantly agrees to let her join after a colleague is unable to attend due to injury. This marks a significant moment for Brian Chen as she seeks to prove herself professionally. A power outage occurs at the law firm, complicating Brian Chen's plans for the night. Unable to stay at the office, she seeks a ride to a nearby hotel. Initially hesitant, Kevin Wang agrees to help her, acknowledging her vulnerability as a woman alone in the office. After returning home, Brian Chen wishes to prepare a midnight snack as a gesture of gratitude for Kevin Wang's help, but she finds that he has already fallen asleep. Kevin Wang wakes up feeling refreshed for the first time, attributing his good night's sleep to Brian Chen's presence, although he struggles to believe this theory due to its lack of scientific basis. Brian Chen is busy at work, receiving information about a new case from her colleague Andy Bao, which involves her idol being deceived. Her colleague invites her to join a 4-person group to handle the case. Despite trying various methods to fall asleep, such as listening to music and attempting to cook like Brian Chen, Kevin Wang finds himself wide awake. He even resorts to asking the cleaning staff to make noise, but nothing works. Eventually, he heads to the office, but in a comical turn, he mistakes someone sleeping at a convenience store for Brian Chen. When he arrives at the company, he finds Brian Chen working late. Concerned for her, he gives her cold medicine, but she playfully offers him instant noodles. Kevin Wang, however, ends up dozing off on the couch as Brian Chen prepares her meal, showcasing the soothing effect she inadvertently has on him. When Brian Chen notices his silence, she eats the noodles alone, unaware of how significant this moment is for Kevin Wang. The next morning, Brian Chen discovers Kevin Wang asleep in the office, a sight that shocks their colleagues. Kevin Wang, upon waking and seeing his reflection, begins to ponder whether Brian Chen truly has the ability to help him sleep, though he finds it hard to accept this possibility. Later, during lunch, Kevin Wang texts Brian Chen, asking her to return to the office, but she ignores him. At that moment, some of Brian Chen's classmates approach her for legal advice, and Kevin Wang arrives to shoo them away, showcasing a protective side. This unexpected display of care surprises Brian Chen. Kevin Wang's visit is sparked by a photo Brian Chen mistakenly sent him, which she intended for a friend. Brian Chen starts to suspect Kevin Wang might have some strange tendencies after finding her luggage returned to the office without explanation. She then attends a welcome party, where Sham Wu, another colleague, connects with Brian Chen's sister, Alex Chen, which becomes a topic of excitement and jealousy. Back at home, Kevin Wang grapples with his insomnia, trying to uncover its root causes through various reports, but to no avail. In a moment of frustration, he calls Brian Chen, pretending his sewer is blocked, but she is too busy to help. Later, he goes to a bar and spots Brian Chen talking to another man, leading him to confront the guy angrily. At the bar, despite not usually attending such gatherings, Kevin Wang shows up and ends up losing a game with everyone else. The night takes a humorous turn when Kevin Wang's legal jargon causes confusion, and the person who had been impersonating Brian Chen is dismissed by him. As the night progresses, Brian Chen gets drunk, and when her friend Grace Tan tries to take her home, Kevin Wang steps in, surprising everyone with his protective instincts. The episode opens with Kevin Wang driving a drunken Brian Chen home. During the journey, Brian Chen becomes sick, prompting Kevin Wang to place her in a cardboard box as a makeshift solution while also recording the moment for posterity. Once home, Brian Chen falls into Kevin Wang's arms, leading to his irritation. Brian Chen wakes up on the sofa with a severe hangover, realizing she is in Kevin Wang's apartment. Seeing him sitting nearby, she quickly apologizes for her behavior the previous night. Kevin Wang, still annoyed, presents her with a bill for her drunken escapades, including a video of her vomiting. He proposes a contract that requires Brian Chen to perform housework as repayment for her debts, given her current lack of funds. Reluctantly, she agrees. Brian Chen goes on a shopping spree for household items, including durian, which Kevin Wang angrily forbids in his home. After returning from a shower, Kevin Wang notices Brian Chen watching TV. Later, he finds her preparing lunch for him, but to his dismay, he still cannot fall asleep. Despite her efforts, Kevin Wang requests a midnight snack, and even after Brian Chen prepares a meal, he remains restless. The next morning, Brian Chen inquires why he didn't eat the food she made, and Kevin Wang replies it was for her own good, raising questions about their evolving dynamic. While Brian Chen navigates the day with her bloated stomach, Sham Wu decides to support her financially. When she encounters Kevin Wang being confronted by two men, she mistakenly believes they are enemies and sprays them with self-defense spray. However, they turn out to be bodyguards hired by Kevin Wang's mother. Back at home, Kevin Wang finds his mother pretending to be sick to lure him back more often. Despite her manipulation, Kevin Wang tries to comfort her but becomes increasingly frustrated when his father suggests he abandon his legal career to take over the family business, which he firmly refuses. Simultaneously, Sham Wu reminisces about his past crush on Brian Chen's sister, Alex Chen. His infatuation began in high school when he fell while watching her run. As Sham Wu finally has a chance to connect with Alex Chen, he is determined not to miss it. Brian Chen prepares a meal, hoping to make amends with Kevin Wang upon his return, but he remains distant and upset. Sham Wu and Alex Chen meet at a vegetable market, where he nervously tries to impress her. Despite fumbling with his phone, he is overjoyed to see her. Alex Chen expresses her gratitude to Sham Wu for helping Brian Chen secure a position at the law firm. After an awkward but sweet interaction, Sham Wu gets drunk and confesses his feelings to Alex Chen, setting the stage for further developments. Kevin Wang, listening to Sham Wu lament about his interactions with Alex Chen the previous night, expressing regret for not reaching out to her afterward. Meanwhile, Brian Chen observes Kevin Wang and Sham Wu's close friendship and begins to wonder about Kevin Wang's personal interests. She asks her colleague, Grace Tan, about it, who reassures her that it's okay to have unique preferences in relationships. Sham Wu also shares a quirky method for curing insomnia, suggesting Kevin Wang try sitting on the toilet for 40 minutes before bedtime. Attempting Sham Wu's method, Kevin Wang sits in the bathroom but finds no relief from his insomnia. Brian Chen, timing him from the living room, shows concern for his well-being and offers advice on dietary habits to help alleviate any pressure he might feel, leading to comedic moments where she leaves sticky notes in the bathroom. Brian Chen, curious about Kevin Wang's routine, follows him on his evening runs. When Kevin Wang catches her, he confronts her, but she insists she only wants to understand him better. The next day, Kevin Wang introduces Brian Chen to Mia Bai, a celebrity seeking a divorce. Brian Chen is excited to work with someone she admires, and her professionalism impresses Mia Bai. That evening, Brian Chen prepares dinner for Kevin Wang, and he soon finds himself falling asleep easily, thanks to her humming. Kevin Wang wakes up in the middle of the night feeling hungry and discovers the late-night snacks Brian Chen prepared. After eating, he wakes her up to discuss the case, and together they brainstorm ideas, which sparks Brian Chen's interest in the legal process. When they meet Mia Bai again, Kevin Wang suggests postponing the divorce to maximize property compensation. However, Mia Bai is determined to proceed immediately, and Kevin Wang respects her decision while allowing Brian Chen to build rapport with her. As Mia Bai opens up about her tumultuous marriage, Brian Chen becomes a comforting presence for her. Meanwhile, Sham Wu gives Alex Chen a puppy, further developing his relationship with her. After receiving a call from Kevin Wang, Sham Wu learns that Kevin Wang has finally achieved a good night's sleep, leaving him both relieved and happy for his friend. To better understand the psychology of divorcees for Mia Bai's case, Brian Chen invites her sister Alex Chen to an amusement park. However, when Kevin Wang asks her to prepare dinner instead, Brian Chen reluctantly agrees, realizing that making dinner can help offset her debts to him. During dinner, Brian Chen shares her thoughts on the case, but Kevin Wang advises her to maintain professionalism and not get emotionally involved with clients. He also invites her to a sorority party for young lawyers, leading Brian Chen to cancel her plans with Alex Chen. At the sorority, Kevin Wang brings Brian Chen along to deter unwanted advances from other women. During the first session, many attendees speculate about their relationship. Kevin Wang remains distant, showing a lack of interest in connecting with other women. Alex Chen, meanwhile, waits for Brian Chen at the amusement park but ends up running into Sham Wu, who denies orchestrating Brian Chen's overtime. Later, in the second part of the party, Kevin Wang insists that he and Brian Chen team up for a rowing competition, using the year-end bonus as an incentive. Brian Chen rows hard to win the bonus, but mishaps occur when the paddle slips into the water. After the race, Kevin Wang is cold and shivering, and Brian Chen tries to help him warm up, but he brushes off her kindness after getting wet from the rowing incident. Kevin Wang and Brian Chen go to a hotel to change clothes. Sham Wu and Alex Chen have their own adventure at the amusement park's haunted house. Sham Wu is later asked by Kevin Wang to deliver clothes to the hotel, where he finds Kevin Wang and Brian Chen wrapped in towels, leading to awkward misunderstandings. Back at their apartment, Kevin Wang is surprised by a visit from Jack Dong, a persistent admirer. To deter her, Kevin Wang hides and messages her not to disturb his live-in girlfriend. Brian Chen finds out that Kevin Wang has been in contact with a psychiatrist, leading her to suspect that his insomnia might be more serious than she thought. She resolves to use her singing to help him sleep better. The plot thickens as Brian Chen grapples with the realities of her professional life. The episode opens with a tense atmosphere due to Mia Bai's refusal to accept a pretrial settlement proposed by Daniel Su. Instead of resolving the matter amicably, the situation escalates, leading to complicated interactions between lawyers. The meeting of lawyers. Daniel Su's attorney, Liu Gu, finds himself in a bind when he cannot meet with Mia Bai directly, so he is forced to negotiate with her attorney, Kevin Wang. Unexpectedly, Brian Chen encounters Liu Gu at this meeting. Brian Chen insists that Liu Gu is merely a senior who once tutored her during her judicial examination and that there is no personal relationship affecting their work. This moment highlights the tension between Brian Chen's personal feelings and her professional obligations. A personal burden. In a parallel storyline, Alex Chen, a friend of Brian Chen, is dealing with a personal crisis. One of his friends has been in a car accident, prompting him to travel to support them. He asks Brian Chen to take care of his puppy, Titan, while he is away. Brian Chen is hesitant to take on this responsibility but ultimately agrees, especially seeing Alex Chen's distress. When Kevin Wang returns home, he hears the puppy barking and immediately orders Brian Chen to get rid of it, revealing his strong dislike for pets. Despite Brian Chen's persuasive arguments about the benefits of having a dog, Kevin Wang remains cold and unmoved, stating that it's either the puppy or Brian Chen that must go. Later that night, Brian Chen prepares a late supper, which becomes a turning point for Kevin Wang. Unable to sleep due to the puppy's barking, he reluctantly allows the dog to stay for the time being. This small victory for Brian Chen indicates the beginning of a softer dynamic between her and Kevin Wang. Mia Bai's plea the following day brings unexpected developments as Kevin Wang is called away on a business trip, leaving Brian Chen in charge of receiving Mia Bai. When Mia Bai arrives, she is visibly distressed and breaks down in tears. She confides in Brian Chen about the immense pressure she has faced from Daniel Su, who has been using various threats to force her into a reconciliation and divorce agreement. Feeling trapped and desperate, Mia Bai pleads with Brian Chen for help. Although Brian Chen is hesitant to overstep her professional boundaries without Kevin Wang's approval, Mia Bai's sincerity and emotional turmoil compel her to agree to assist. This moment underscores Brian Chen's growing empathy and willingness to help those in distress, even as it conflicts with her professional ethics. The tragic turn the situation takes a dark turn when Daniel Su reaches out to Brian Chen again, insisting on a direct meeting with Mia Bai. Brian Chen, now more aware of the emotional stakes involved, refuses this request. Shortly thereafter, shocking news breaks: Daniel Su has committed suicide by jumping off a building. In his suicide note, he laments that his company was on the verge of going public, but his ex-wife's slanderous accusations and the continuous rejection of his reconciliation efforts had ruined his reputation and business prospects. Overwhelmed by despair, he chooses to end his life. This tragic event sends shockwaves through the legal community and especially impacts Brian Chen. The revelation of Daniel Su's suicide amplifies the stakes of the case and reveals the real-world consequences of the legal battles the characters are engaged in. Brian Chen's earlier decisions weigh heavily on her as she grapples with the reality of what has occurred. Mia Bai's next move. In the wake of Daniel Su's death, Mia Bai quickly pivots her strategy by hiring a new lawyer, Michael Deng. She holds a press conference to announce that she will be entrusting her divorce proceedings to Eric Lee Law Firm, clearly distancing herself from the fallout of Daniel Su's actions. Meanwhile, to be Alex Chen's ex-husband, recognizes the tension and advises Brian Chen to accept the reality of the situation. Brian Chen struggles to find her footing in the midst of the betrayal she feels. Just as things seem bleak, Kevin Wang arrives on the scene, standing in front of Brian Chen and warning Michael Deng not to engage in any further tricks. His protective presence offers Brian Chen some solace and support. In a moment of vulnerability, Brian Chen admits her mistakes to Kevin Wang. She expresses her willingness to accept all consequences stemming from her misjudgments and acknowledges that her emotional involvement clouded her professional judgment. Kevin Wang takes this opportunity to guide Brian Chen, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a professional distance from clients and understanding the legal framework within which they operate. Growth and reflection. Kevin Wang reminds Brian Chen that being a lawyer requires more than enthusiasm. It demands a solid understanding of legal principles and ethical boundaries. Kevin Wang's guidance. Brian Chen decides to show her appreciation by preparing a special meal for him. She also agrees to write a reflective piece about her mistakes, which serves as a pivotal moment in her development as a lawyer. Following Daniel Su's suicide, his brother releases a video blaming Brian Chen for covering up Daniel Su's settlement request. Brian Chen faces intense criticism online, labeled as an unscrupulous lawyer. Kevin Wang arranges a meeting with Liu Gu to analyze the case and explore evidence. Liu Gu shares insights into Daniel Su's mental health struggles and the manipulative nature of Daniel Su's new lover, who contributed to his demise. Liu Gu proposes to publish evidence to exonerate Brian Chen, but Kevin Wang refuses, preferring to handle the situation independently. Brian Chen expresses gratitude to Kevin Wang for helping her see the truth of the case. Brian Chen receives threats and fears for her sister Alex Chen's safety, struggling to communicate the gravity of the situation to her. Alex Chen pretends to be oblivious to protect her sister from worry. Michael Deng's mother is preparing for surgery, and he chooses not to disclose his divorce to her. He asks Alex Chen to visit his mother, warning her that past actions will have future consequences. Sham Woo and Kevin Wang work together to draft a complaint against Mia Bai to protect their law firm's reputation. They engage in discussions to finalize their legal approach, leading to a confrontation with Michael Dang. Concerned about Brian Chen's mood, Kevin Wang postpones an important client meeting and takes her grocery shopping. He encourages her to choose snacks, creating a moment for her to indulge and express her emotions. Brian Chen struggles with her feelings, crying while eating snacks. Kevin Wang attempts to comfort her but feels uncertain in expressing his empathy. He offers her a handkerchief to help wipe her tears as she processes her emotions. Kevin Wang swiftly organizes efforts to mitigate the online backlash against Brian Chen. Andy Bao, Nancy, and Kevin Wang work overtime to shift public sentiment in Brian Chen's favor. Brian Chen avoids social media out of fear of insults, but with Andy Bao's guidance, she eventually sees the supportive messages and apologies directed towards her. She learns that Kevin Wang played a pivotal role in managing the situation and protecting her reputation. To help Brian Chen deal with her stress, Kevin Wang suggests shredding papers related to the public scandal. Initially dismissive, Brian Chen ultimately agrees when the cleaning lady offers to assist with the task. Alex Chen and Sham Woo share a dinner, where they express their anger over Brian Chen being framed by Michael Dang. Sham Woo realizes Alex Chen's dissatisfaction with Michael Dang, boosting his confidence in pursuing her. Kevin Wang searches online for ways to relieve stress and decides to do housework, creating a mess that he blames on his puppy. Brian Chen recognizes the chaos as an unnecessary burden and criticizes Kevin Wang for making more work for her. While reading comments online, Kevin Wang starts to question his feelings for Brian Chen after noticing others speculate about his care for her. Kevin Wang takes Brian Chen for a night run. They stop at a fountain, where Brian Chen expresses her gratitude for his support during her recent struggles. Kevin Wang awkwardly downplays his care, claiming he just wants to maintain work efficiency. Alex Chen visits Michael Dang's mother in the hospital, feeling uncomfortable with Michael Dang's advances and rejecting his attempts at closeness. After a sarcastic exchange, Alex Chen tells Michael Dang to stop his drama when he proposes remarriage. Sham Woo informs Alex Chen that he has addressed the online harassment against Brian Chen, leveraging Kevin Wang's influence for his own benefit. Alex Chen appreciates Sham Woo's efforts and invites him out for dinner as a thank you. Michael Dang, angered after learning about Alex Chen spending time with Sham Woo, instructs his assistant to take secret photos of them together. Sham Woo proposes a strategy for Alex Chen to join Eric Lee law firm, suggesting they expand into legal aid, despite Kevin Wang's warning about mixing emotions with work. Brian Chen, feeling unoccupied at work, is asked by a colleague to assist with legal aid. However, Sham Woo intervenes, declaring that all legal aid will now be organized by him. Jack Dong invites Kevin Wang to dinner and discusses his father's recent communication with Kevin Wang, encouraging him to focus on self-improvement rather than romantic relationships. Kevin Wang assigns Brian Chen to handle the divorce case of Jack Dong's father, Charlie Dong, who is facing health issues, including a gastric ulcer with potential complications. During her meeting with Charlie Dong, Brian Chen learns of his intentions to divorce his wife to protect her position on the board, raising concerns about his true health condition. Brian Chen uncovers that Charlie Dong has cheated and is expecting a child with his mistress, prompting her to rush into a divorce with Sophie Jiang. Kevin Wang is not surprised by this news. The apartment complex has experienced several incidents, causing concern among residents. When Brian Chen fails to return from walking the dog, Kevin Wang becomes anxious and organizes a search, offering a reward to anyone who finds her. Kevin Wang finds Brian Chen returning with the puppy, who causes a mishap by licking Kevin Wang's face after getting into feces. Brian Chen cleans him up, and their relationship deepens through this light-hearted moment. Sham Woo introduces Alex Chen to a vacant office. Alex Chen humorously describes its potential uses but clarifies that his work as a public interest lawyer requires him to assist clients in need, rather than sit in an office. Michael Dang confronts Alex Chen about a potential suitor, pretending to seek information about his safe. Alex Chen sees through his ruse and manages to evade his advances. Brian Chen works on Charlie Dong's divorce case but learns he has died unexpectedly, halting the proceedings. Kevin Wang decides to attend the memorial service, and Brian Chen accompanies him. After the memorial service, Sophie Jiang discusses the divorce case with Brian Chen, insisting on confidentiality due to company interests, as no board members are aware of the divorce proceedings. Brian Chen contemplates the hasty memorial service. Kevin Wang theorizes that Sophie Jiang is trying to protect her interests, knowing that Charlie Dong's lover could claim inheritance rights if the death was revealed. After handling Charlie Dong's affairs, Jack Dong meets with Brian Chen and expresses his jealousy of her closeness to Kevin Wang, leading to a moment of comfort between them. Brian Chen decided to treat Kevin Wang to dinner, spending a significant amount of her money to show her appreciation. However, upon returning home, she felt distressed when Kevin Wang transferred money to her, insisting that women shouldn't pay the bill. After some hesitation, she accepted the money, feeling a mix of gratitude and frustration later. While shopping at the supermarket, Brian Chen spotted a promotion for ice cream, buy one, get one free. Wanting to express her gratitude to Kevin Wang, she bought two. Although Kevin Wang didn't have a habit of eating ice cream, he took a few bites when Brian Chen offered it to him and found it delicious. He encouraged her to buy more and offered to reimburse her for the expense, showing his growing fondness for her. While walking her dog, Brian Chen encountered a man whose pet had tangled with hers. The man aggressively demanded 20,000 yuan in compensation for his dog's distress. Feeling cornered, Brian Chen struggled to defend herself until Kevin Wang intervened. He stood protectively in front of Brian Chen and transferred 3,000 yuan to the man, diffusing the immediate threat. As the man walked away, Kevin Wang warned Brian Chen about the legal implications of the situation, showcasing his protective nature. That evening, Brian Chen confided in her best friend, Anna, about the day's events with Kevin Wang. Anna playfully suggested that Kevin Wang must have feelings for Brian Chen, given how often he came to her rescue. This thought left Brian Chen blushing and confused, unable to express her growing feelings for him. Recalling a conversation with Kevin Wang about a game soundtrack record they both liked, Brian Chen hesitated when he offered it to her. She explained that she didn't have a gramophone, making the gift somewhat pointless. However, Kevin Wang insisted that the gesture was meaningful as long as she appreciated it. This interaction left Brian Chen pondering Kevin Wang's feelings, and she found herself lying in bed, tossing and turning, unable to grasp what he truly meant. Feeling the need to create a comforting atmosphere, Brian Chen prepared a cozy rooftop setup with a foot bath and fruit for Kevin Wang. During their time together, Kevin Wang dozed off in his chair, and Brian Chen felt a sense of satisfaction watching him sleep peacefully, wishing for their relationship to deepen. The plot thickened when Sarah, Charlie Dong's mistress, approached Kevin Wang at the law firm. She wanted to sue Sophie Jiang for cremating Charlie Dong's body without notifying her and was seeking a staggering 200 million yuan in inheritance for her unborn child. Kevin Wang agreed to take the case, but Brian Chen strongly objected, arguing that Sarah was morally compromised. Kevin Wang interrupted her, frustrated, and decided to assign the case to Andy Bao with Brian Chen as his assistant. Back at the office, tensions escalated between Kevin Wang and Brian Chen. He was furious with her for what he perceived as unprofessionalism, while Brian Chen firmly declared she would not participate in the Sarah case any further. Hurt by this, Kevin Wang unintentionally revealed that he regretted allowing Brian Chen to join the firm, striking her like a thunderbolt. She realized her position was not entirely based on her abilities, leaving her devastated. Following this confrontation, Kevin Wang threw out a critical piece of client information that Brian Chen had been responsible for organizing. When the other colleagues noticed Brian Chen's distress, Kevin Wang became even more agitated. In a bid to protect Brian Chen, Nancy stepped in to take the blame for her, showing his loyalty. That night, Brian Chen chose not to return to the apartment, feeling overwhelmed and defeated. The next day, she also skipped work, prompting concern from her colleague Sham Wu. He informed Alex Chen about Brian Chen's situation, leading her to seek out Brian Chen and encourage her not to let her personal issues hinder her career. Alex Chen reminded her to value the opportunity at Juanhing Law Firm and to strive for self-improvement. After taking time to reflect, Brian Chen decided to return to the office and admit her mistakes. Sham Wu was pleased by her initiative and informed Alex Chen of her return. In a surprising turn, Kevin Wang agreed to allow Brian Chen back onto the Sarah case, indicating that he still valued her contributions despite their earlier quarrel. Kevin Wang proposed a paternity test to determine the identity of Sarah's child, suggesting that they test both the child and Charlie Dong's father. Brian Chen supported this by proposing a negative method and conducting a prenatal checkup simultaneously, as well as reviewing surveillance footage from the suburban villa. Kevin Wang approved of her plan, highlighting their teamwork. To focus on work without distractions, Brian Chen decided to temporarily move out of the apartment. While packing her things, she discovered a note from Kevin Wang, urging her not to stay in a hotel due to financial constraints. He revealed that he had moved back to the villa, suggesting that she could return to their apartment. Despite his nonchalant tone, Brian Chen felt comforted by his concern. As she prepared to leave, Kevin Wang noticed her turning off the lights and resting in the car, which gave him peace of mind. In another subplot, Michael Dang got drunk and went to Alex Chen's residence, expressing his unhappiness with his marriage and reminiscing about the time spent with her. He warned Alex Chen about getting too close to Sham Wu, suggesting that he might abandon her like he had. When he tried to hug her, Alex Chen pushed him away and splashed water on him, asserting her boundaries. After he left, she reflected on her past with Sham Wu and recognized that he wasn't as bad as Michael Deng claimed. Brian Chen and Andy Bao took the opportunity to visit Mr. Dong at the nursing home to apply for the paternity test, knowing that Jack Dong and her mother were not present. Mr. Dong, excited at the prospect of having a grandson, quickly signed the consent form. However, a nearby nurse criticized Brian Chen, suggesting that she was motivated solely by money. Brian Chen was confused but pressed on. Afterward, she encountered Sarah, who was impatiently awaiting the blood draw for the paternity test, showing her eagerness despite the potential risks to her pregnancy. Michael Deng sent flowers to Alex Chen's home, but she immediately discarded them into the trash, asserting her disinterest. When Sham Wu suggested they go out, Alex Chen urged him to limit their interactions in light of Michael Deng's behavior. This triggered Michael Deng's jealousy, prompting him to worry about Sham Wu's influence. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang had planned to soak his feet for relaxation and health with Sham Wu. As they chatted, Kevin Wang couldn't help but think of the foot bath that Brian Chen had prepared for him earlier. Feeling disappointed at the absence of their shared moments after work, Brian Chen returned to the apartment to prepare a late-night snack as she usually did, but the emptiness of the apartment made her long for the companionship of Kevin Wang, reminding her of their previous living situation. The court session for the paternity case culminated in a verdict. Due to overwhelming evidence, Sarah won the case, infuriating Jack Dong. He accused Brian Chen of prioritizing money over friendship, claiming she wasted his time. Angered, he also lashed out at Mr. Dong, who retaliated by threatening him with a cane. Brian Chen intervened to stop the confrontation, resulting in an injury to her arm from the crutch. Kevin Wang noticed Brian Chen's injury and expressed his concern, but she chose to leave without engaging further, highlighting the growing emotional distance between them. Kevin Wang is worried about Brian Chen's injury and takes it upon himself to help her treat the wound, framing it as part of his responsibility as her boss. Brian Chen feels uneasy about the Sarah case and is hesitant when Andy Bao suggests a celebratory dinner for her after winning the lawsuit. Kevin Wang calls Brian Chen into his office to analyze the case, pointing out her shortcomings and unprofessionalism. This feedback uplifts Brian Chen's spirits, and she returns to her workstation to jot down her goals, though her thoughts frequently drift to Kevin Wang. To distract herself, she keeps busy with work. Unable to sleep, Kevin Wang calls Sham Wu and ends up visiting the apartment, claiming he needs a pen but actually wanting to reconnect. Brian Chen assists him in getting a taxi home. The next day, Kevin Wang shows up at work with dark circles under his eyes, hiding his insomnia with sunglasses. Brian Chen reviews the Sarah case, but Kevin Wang remains non-committal, and Andy Bao notes that Brian Chen has improved compared to his previous assistants. During a meeting, Brian Chen notices Kevin Wang's fatigue and feels compelled to invite him back to the apartment. However, when Andy Bao interrupts with new information, she changes the topic. Later, Brian Chen treats her coworkers to Pizza Hut, and they receive alarming news about Sarah's baby being born prematurely and diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Mr. Dong worries that Sarah will frame the baby for inheritance purposes and decides to monitor her closely. Brian Chen's mother calls to inform her that her parents will be visiting soon. Brian Chen nervously thinks about how her parents might react to her living situation with Kevin Wang. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang books 2 tickets for a trip the next day and chooses to stay at the apartment that night. Brian Chen cooks dinner and plays a horror movie to scare Kevin Wang into going back to the villa, but he remains unfazed while she becomes frightened. When a power outage plunges the apartment into darkness, Brian Chen, scared from the movie, rushes to Kevin Wang's bedroom, seeking comfort. Unable to sleep, they begin to talk about their past. Kevin Wang shares how he started his career without support from his parents and faced many obstacles. Brian Chen reveals her own experiences, including a troubling incident with her former mentor who pressured her into drinking. Seizing the moment, Kevin Wang provides Brian Chen with valuable advice for her career development, deepening their bond. As they share a late-night snack, their conversation flows easily, highlighting the growing emotional connection between them. Brian Chen and Kevin Wang wake up together after spending the night in the same bed, with Brian Chen accidentally pushing Kevin Wang to the floor. They share a warm smile, reflecting their growing closeness. During a meeting with new client Mr. Tang, he is overtly flirtatious with Brian Chen, holding her hand too long during their handshake. Kevin Wang intervenes, uncomfortable with Tang's behavior. As the meeting progresses, Tang's inappropriate actions continue, including taking photos of Brian Chen without her noticing. Brian Chen grows increasingly disgusted with Mr. Tang's advances. Cheng Yao's stomach growls during the meeting, prompting Kevin Wang to suggest she step out for a break under the pretense of delivering documents. Later, Brian Chen, worried about Kevin Wang missing a meal, orders porridge and delivers it to his hotel room. Kevin Wang, wrapped in a bath towel, enjoys the porridge and expresses his appreciation for Brian Chen's cooking, deepening their bond. Tang invites Kevin Wang and Brian Chen to dinner at a five-star hotel. During dinner, Tang attempts to persuade Kevin Wang to drink, but Kevin Wang firmly refuses, citing his health concerns. Brian Chen supports Kevin Wang's decision, recalling her previous distaste for social drinking. Kevin Wang emphasizes the importance of professionalism in their work. Later, Brian Chen receives a message from Tang asking her to meet in the conference room for supplemental information. Hesitant to disturb Kevin Wang, she decides to go alone. Once there, Tang dismisses his assistant under the guise of needing to retrieve documents and makes unwanted advances toward Brian Chen while she is under the table fixing the router. Feeling threatened, Brian Chen snaps a photo of Tang's inappropriate behavior and tries to escape. Just as Brian Chen is about to share the video online, Kevin Wang bursts into the conference room. Seeing the video, he confronts Tang and violently attacks him, warning him about the consequences of his actions. Faced with the potential fallout, Tang reluctantly agrees to terminate the entrustment agreement with the law firm. Afterward, Kevin Wang takes Brian Chen out of the hotel, expressing his anger over her decision to meet with Tang without informing him. Despite his frustration, his concern for her safety is evident, highlighting the depth of his feelings for Brian Chen. Brian Chen wondered why Kevin Wang was always so kind to her, a mere assistant. When Kevin Wang replied that Brian Chen was an important employee, Brian Chen felt her heartbeat accelerate. Later, Kevin Wang sought advice from Sham Wu about how to treat someone asking such questions, and Sham Wu suggested treating them sincerely. While giving this advice, Sham Wu himself struggled with his feelings for Alex Chen, who kept pushing him away. Kevin Wang invited Brian Chen for high-end desserts. In return, Brian Chen asked Kevin Wang to teach her Sanda skills for self-defense, considering the risks of her profession. Kevin Wang assured her that she had his protection instead. Since their client meeting ended early, Kevin Wang decided to spend 2 extra days in the local area with Brian Chen. Framing it as an employee benefit, Brian Chen noticed the video she had taken of Tang Bing had disappeared. Kevin Wang admitted he deleted it to spare her bad memories. When Brian Chen expressed concerns about repercussions, Kevin Wang reassured her that Tang Bing wouldn't retaliate and that he would hold Tang Bing accountable. Brian Chen saw the day as a dreamlike date. She proposed a visit to an amusement park, where she struggled to win a doll from a shooting game. Kevin Wang helped her by surrounding her with his arms, and they successfully shot the balloons together. Later, they rode a roller coaster, and Brian Chen secretly wished to stay close to Kevin Wang like this. When Kevin Wang asked her about her ideal travel destination, she mentioned a place close to nature, and he promised to visit such a spot with her in the future. Brian Chen began imagining the possibility of a relationship, but Kevin Wang unexpectedly asked her to write a work review. Frustrated, Brian Chen accused Kevin Wang of being too strict, which led Kevin Wang to finally admit, "Because I care about you." Embarrassed and with her heart racing, Brian Chen excused herself to the bathroom. While waiting for her, Kevin Wang encountered a student buying a gift for his girlfriend and ended up helping them, eventually gifting them a hotel coupon while keeping a throw pillow for Brian Chen. That night, Kevin Wang still insisted on the review, but Brian Chen fell asleep before finishing. Watching her sleep, Kevin Wang smiled, reflecting on their time together before dozing off as well. The next morning, they packed their luggage to catch a flight, but Kevin Wang received news that Juanhing law firm had won a major case back at the company. Sham Wu questioned Kevin Wang's decision to reject Tang Bing's case, revealing that Tang Bing had filed a complaint against Juanhing with the Lawyers Association. Meanwhile, Brian Chen, who initially wanted to invite Kevin Wang for dinner, had to postpone it after receiving an invitation from Anna. She promised to find another opportunity to dine with Kevin Wang. Alex Chen was confronted by her ex-husband, Michael Deng, who persistently belittled her and tried to control her personal life. Despite his efforts to limit her relationships, Alex Chen was resolute. She recorded their conversation and threatened to call the police if he continued harassing her. This forced Michael Deng to leave, showcasing Alex Chen's strength and independence. Out of gratitude for helping Brian Chen in a difficult situation, Alex Chen invited Kevin Wang to dinner. During their time together, Alex Chen shared her expertise in family trusts, offering to assist him in the future if needed. Their conversation deepened when Alex Chen discovered Kevin Wang's struggle with insomnia and thoughtfully gifted him an incense to help him sleep better. This exchange showed the growing bond of mutual support. Later, Kevin Wang was intercepted by Sham Wu at the hotel entrance. Seeing Kevin Wang carrying a gift, Sham Wu grew curious, prompting Kevin Wang to share the details of his recent trip and encounter. Sham Wu wanted to bring Tang Bing down for past grievances, but for the sake of Brian Chen's reputation, both men decided not to pursue the issue further. Instead, Sham Wu even used 1 month's dividends to reimburse the money Kevin Wang received from Alex Chen, indicating how they all wanted to maintain peace for Brian Chen's sake. Brian Chen's work life was gradually finding a smooth rhythm. Seeing her progress brought visible joy to Kevin Wang, who had been in an unusually good mood lately. His enthusiasm led him to plan a second team-building event for the office. When Andy Bao jokingly hinted that Kevin Wang's plans were motivated by love, everyone took it lightly, except for Brian Chen, who couldn't help but remember that Kevin Wang had promised this outing at a playground. Realizing he took his word to heart filled her with unexpected warmth. Returning, Brian Chen found her mother in the apartment. Brian Chen's mother was visibly startled to see a man in her daughter's place, which led to a series of probing questions. Despite Brian Chen's explanations, her mother refused to believe that Kevin Wang was merely her boss, arguing that a boss wouldn't stay in such close quarters. Flustered and cornered, Brian Chen gave in and told her mother that Kevin Wang was her boyfriend, a simple assembly line worker. Her mother accepted the explanation but warned Brian Chen about the difference in their social status, prompting Brian Chen to reflect on how unworthy she felt of Kevin Wang. This scene had underlying romantic tension. Brian Chen's hidden feelings were hinted at by her willingness to continue the facade. After this incident, Brian Chen confided in her friend Anna. When she returned home, Kevin Wang proposed taking her to a spa city for a relaxing massage to help with her headache. Their trip to the spa city had a quiet romantic vibe. The two shared lighthearted moments as they enjoyed each other's company. However, the mood shifted when Brian Chen's parents unexpectedly appeared at the same spa. Caught off guard, Brian Chen panicked, hurriedly pulling her parents aside and explaining that Kevin Wang was just starting work there. Although the encounter was stressful, the situation made her realize how natural it felt to be by Kevin Wang's side, even if it was under pretenses. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang's mother, learning from a manager that her son was seen with a woman, grew suspicious. She took a taxi to follow them, indicating that their hidden relationship might soon face new challenges. Kevin Wang was helping Brian Chen cook, quietly standing in the kitchen. When Brian Chen turned around, she accidentally spilled oil on his white shirt. The stain couldn't be wiped clean with just paper, so Brian Chen suggested Kevin Wang take it off to wash it immediately. As he was removing his shirt, Kevin Wang's mother suddenly burst in. She misinterpreted the scene as intimate and began questioning how they knew each other. Before either could explain, she speculated on Brian Chen's background. Perhaps she was the daughter of a wealthy family or a successful, independent woman? Brian Chen clarified that she was just Kevin Wang's assistant lawyer, but Kevin Wang's mother left them a restaurant business card, asking Brian Chen to meet her alone the next day. Brian Chen arrived at the restaurant at the designated time for her meeting with Kevin Wang's mother. In an attempt to test the sincerity of Brian Chen and Kevin Wang's relationship, Kevin Wang's mother offered her a bank card, asking her to leave Kevin Wang if she accepted the money. Brian Chen refused, explaining that her relationship with Kevin Wang was not romantic as Kevin Wang's mother imagined. Despite Brian Chen's clear response, Kevin Wang's mother raised her offer to 10 million, forcing Brian Chen to reiterate their professional connection. After returning home, Chen's mother pretended to be ill, using it as an excuse to summon Kevin Wang home. During their conversation, Brian Chen also arrived, realizing that Kevin Wang's mother had made arrangements without her knowledge. Taking both their hands, Kevin Wang's mother expressed her desire for them to find happiness. Frustrated by his mother's interference, Kevin Wang left, leaving Brian Chen behind. Tearfully, Kevin Wang's mother insisted on Kevin Wang going on a blind date to find a partner. Later that night, Brian Chen found the coupons for a blind date dinner, given by Kevin's mother, lying on the table. When her parents visited the apartment and saw the coupons, they mistakenly thought Brian Chen had planned to go herself and took them along. The next day, Kevin Wang arrived at the restaurant, expecting Brian Chen to be his dinner companion. To his surprise, a stranger appeared, introducing herself as his blind date, something clearly arranged by his mother. As they spoke, Brian Chen's parents unexpectedly walked in, spotted Kevin Wang sitting with another woman, and assumed he was deceiving their daughter. In their outrage, they scolded him loudly before grabbing a glass of wine and throwing it in his face. The blind date woman also left angrily. Brian Chen spoke with her parents over the phone and learned about the disastrous confrontation. Feeling guilty, she called Kevin Wang to apologize for once again unintentionally ruining things for him. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang's mother heard from the blind date, who cried about Kevin Wang's apparent disinterest. She began to suspect whether her son, who was now over 30 and had never dated, might have a particular reason for avoiding romantic relationships. She approached Brian Chen once again, seeking her help to understand her son's feelings. In a bid to bring them closer, Kevin's mother made cordyceps and mutton soup, traditionally believed to boost vitality. When Brian Chen and Kevin Wang found out about the ingredients, both were visibly embarrassed, with red cheeks betraying their discomfort. During the awkward moment, Brian Chen received a call from her friend Anna, who was desperate to meet, prompting Brian Chen to prepare to leave. Late at night, it was difficult to hail a taxi, so Kevin Wang offered to drive her. The two rushed to meet Anna at a bridge. They found her drunk, dangerously leaning over the edge, about to jump. Brian Chen ran over to stop her, holding her friend back and urging her to share what had happened. Anna revealed her painful story. She had gotten her marriage certificate with Hao, and they were legally a couple. When she became pregnant, she quit her job to care for their unborn child while Hao worked hard, often pulling overtime shifts. She had trusted him, but eventually discovered that Hao was cheating. He even suggested she terminate her pregnancy. As he had lost interest in her, Brian Chen decided to bring Anna home to confront Hao. Kevin Wang drove them there, mindful of Anna's condition. When they entered, they found Hao with the other woman, looking comfortable in the apartment. Anna exploded in anger, accusing the woman of having no shame, while Hao's lover shot back, claiming Anna neglected Hao, driving him to this point. She also accused Anna of secretly photographing them, violating her privacy. Seeing the situation worsen, Brian Chen quickly took Anna away, helping her friend collect herself and think of the next steps. Anna seeks refuge with Brian Chen after a fallout with Hao. Learning from Kevin Wang about employee benefits, Brian Chen quickly arranges a hotel stay for Anna. Later that night, Brian Chen helps Anna pack while also buying porridge for Kevin Wang. She insists he eat, even suggesting they do a live broadcast to supervise him. Kevin Wang hesitantly agrees, though he seems unfamiliar with the app. Brian Chen questions Anna about her methods for gathering evidence against Liang Qiangqiang. Anna admits she made mistakes and acknowledges the difficulty of her situation due to her pregnancy, making it hard for her to collect evidence herself. While eating porridge in the car, Kevin Wang starts the live broadcast but forgets to set a password. Michael Deng prepares for the Golden Balance Award but faces issues due to a gift mix-up and his comments about women. After learning that Alex Chen recorded their conversation, he confronts her, demanding she delete it. When she refuses, he threatens Brian Chen, causing Alex Chen to consider moving away for safety. Anna asks Brian Chen to represent her in her divorce proceedings, citing trust in her good friend. Brian Chen seeks approval from Kevin Wang, who initially hesitates because of the low bid amount but eventually agrees, showcasing his support for Brian Chen's commitment. Kevin Wang's mother visits the law firm, urging Brian Chen to persuade him to go on blind dates. Brian Chen defends Kevin Wang, but his mother points out his shortcomings, leaving Brian Chen in an awkward position. When Kevin Wang overhears their conversation, he becomes furious, reprimanding Brian Chen for meddling in his personal life. Feeling aggrieved, Brian Chen reflects on her actions, unsure if she overstepped her boundaries. When she learns Kevin Wang plans to move out, she hides her disappointment, trying to maintain professionalism despite her emotional turmoil. As Kevin Wang prepares to move, he waits at home for Brian Chen to return and bid him farewell. However, Brian Chen intentionally works overtime at the office, avoiding an awkward goodbye. Despite feeling a sense of loss, she keeps herself busy, preparing supper and cooking instant noodles while reminiscing about their time together. Returning home late, Brian Chen is struck by the emptiness of Kevin Wang's room. The realization that he has moved out leaves her feeling lonely and melancholic. She opens the fridge out of habit, contemplating what to make for supper. After a moment of reflection, she decides to eat instant noodles while watching her favorite dramas, trying to fill the void left by Kevin Wang's absence. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang struggles with the silence of his empty villa. He realizes how much he misses Brian Chen's presence and chatter. To ease his loneliness, he brings home a toy, Mr. Lemon, and finds himself laughing at its silly face, though it reminds him of the moments spent with Brian Chen. He turns on the TV and starts watching dramas, inadvertently recalling the times they shared watching shows together. The next morning, Brian Chen greets Kevin Wang at work with a bright smile, but he is caught off guard and responds awkwardly. During lunch, Nancy and Grace Tan share a large meal, while Brian Chen has brought her homemade lunch. The tantalizing aroma from Brian Chen's food catches Kevin Wang's attention, pulling him toward her office. As Kevin Wang asks Brian Chen to step out to collect a document, she prepares to take her lunch with her. However, he insists on urgency and promises that she can eat out after retrieving the document, which frustrates her as she must give her lunch to Andy Bao instead. Andy Bao happily accepts her food, but just as he is about to dig in, Kevin Wang's takeout arrives. Kevin Wang places his meal on Andy Bao's table and whisks Brian Chen away for lunch, pleased to eat her cooking. While enjoying lunch, Kevin Wang feels content with the meal Brian Chen prepared, but the mood shifts when his colleague Sham Wu visits and notices Kevin Wang's unusual behavior. Sham Wu innocently asks Brian Chen if she has been involved in an office romance, speculating about her recent gift orders on social media. Brian Chen brushes it off, while Kevin Wang pretends he knows nothing. On the weekend, Kevin Wang is busy working at the villa when Brian Chen knocks on his door. Opening it, he is taken aback by her fashionable appearance and mistakenly thinks she might have feelings for him. Just as he gathers the courage to invite her in, his friends surprise him with a birthday banner and a celebration, organized by Sham Woo. Caught off guard, Kevin Wang realizes it's his birthday, and Sham Woo has planned this gathering to also set up a meeting with Alex Chen, adding a layer of complexity to the day. The group gathers in the yard for a barbecue under the hot sun, and everyone is sweating profusely. Kevin Wang notices that Brian Chen is wearing black, which absorbs heat, and offers her a chance to change in the coolness of the house. Reluctantly, she agrees, following him inside where she immediately feels a wave of relief from the heat inside. Brian Chen receives a pizza from Kevin Wang, expressing her gratitude. They share a moment that feels more intimate as they engage in light banter and laughter. Despite the bustling atmosphere outside, their connection feels personal and significant. The warmth between them is palpable as they work together, reminiscing about their shared experiences while simultaneously building new memories. After the party, Brian Chen and Kevin Wang end up working overtime together. This time spent in each other's presence further deepens their bond as they share thoughts and feelings about their work and lives. Brian Chen feels a flutter of happiness being close to him, while Kevin Wang, seeing her dedication and spirit, appreciates her even more. As they continue to work. Before parting, Brian Chen surprises Kevin Wang with a small birthday gift, a handmade item that reflects their friendship. Kevin Wang is touched, recognizing the thought and effort she put into it. Their eyes meet, and for a brief moment, the atmosphere is charged with potential as they both consider what their relationship could become. As they bid each other goodnight, Brian Chen feels hopeful about the future, knowing that their connection has deepened despite the obstacles they face. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang watches her leave, contemplating how much she has come to mean to him and what their journey together might hold. As the aftermath of Brian Chen's drunken escapade lingers, she finds herself in a complicated emotional landscape regarding Kevin Wang. The episode begins with Kevin Wang's mixed feelings after witnessing Brian Chen's drunken speech at the birthday celebration. When she playfully douses him with beer, he has no choice but to retreat to the room to handle the situation. Meanwhile, Sham Woo can't help but gossip about Kevin Wang's past, specifically a classmate he rejected years ago. Brian Chen, feeling a bit dazed from the previous night's antics, asks Sham Woo why Kevin Wang was so cold-hearted back then, wondering if he had unresolved childhood issues. Kevin Wang, having changed his clothes, steps out just in time to overhear their conversation, feeling a pang of jealousy at the camaraderie between Brian Chen and Sham Woo. He wishes that Brian Chen's closeness was reserved for him alone. Later that night, Kevin Wang lies awake in bed, reflecting on Brian Chen's bold birthday gift and her declaration of wanting to have a child with him. The thought both excites and embarrasses him, but as he rolls over, he dreams of Brian Chen sitting beside him, echoing those desires. When he wakes up, he realizes it was just a dream, leaving him even more restless. On the other side of town, Brian Chen wakes up feeling disoriented and embarrassed about her drunken behavior. As she gets a drink of water, she recalls how she lost her composure the previous night, worrying that she might have ruined things between them. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang contemplates sending her a message about not coming to the law firm, but ultimately decides against it, influenced by the birthday gift she gave him. Brian Chen arrives late to work, her colleagues attending a love lecture while Kevin Wang is visibly fatigued, dark circles under his eyes. He doesn't want her to go to the lecture, worried about her emotional state after their recent interactions, but Brian Chen feels she needs to avoid an awkward encounter with him, especially given her embarrassment during the meeting. Kevin Wang asks for Brian Chen's input, but her hesitant responses frustrate him. Feeling a mix of disappointment and irritation, he abruptly ends the lecture, leaving the teacher concerned about how he conducted it. Afterward, Kevin Wang returns to his online research, trying to figure out how to navigate the evolving dynamics with Brian Chen. Some netizens advise him to be more proactive in his feelings. Just as he's contemplating this, Brian Chen enters the room, startling him into quickly closing his laptop. She proposes going out to dinner, hoping to discuss Meng Ting's case, but Kevin Wang feels a slight letdown. He wishes their dinner had a more personal motive. Later that evening, Brian Chen has dinner with her sister, Alex Chen, who seems troubled. Alex Chen reveals that Michael Dang has been harassing her, prompting her to join a certain event to cope. Brian Chen reassures her sister not to involve Sham Woo, knowing Alex Chen isn't ready to enter a new relationship yet. Meanwhile, Sham Woo approaches Brian Chen, clearly fond of her sister, but his disappointment is evident when she brushes off his concerns. That night, Kevin Wang sends Brian Chen another message, expressing his frustration over her lack of further actions regarding their relationship. At the same time, Brian Chen remains preoccupied with Meng Ting's case, which grows more complex. Meng Ting's boyfriend has cheated on her, and complications arise regarding their fraudulent marriage certificate and shared property. Back at the law firm, Brian Chen presents the situation to Kevin Wang, who simply responds with one sentence that sparks an idea for her. Suddenly, she realizes a potential breakthrough in Meng Ting's case. If Meng Ting deliberately loses this current legal battle, the court will enforce the property division, allowing her to recover the money she invested in their home. This way, even if the house is sold, Meng Ting stands to make a profit. Excited about this new strategy, Brian Chen rushes to share her plan with Meng Ting, who is elated to have hope again. Encouraged by Brian Chen's confidence, Meng Ting declares her ambition to retake the judicial examination and become a lawyer like Brian Chen, solidifying the bond between the two women. Later that evening, Brian Chen prepares a meal for herself and posts a picture of it on WeChat Moments. When Kevin Wang sees the post, a wave of discomfort washes over him. The sight of her cooking for herself stirs feelings of jealousy and longing within him, making him wish he could share a meal with her instead. As the episode draws to a close, both Brian Chen and Kevin Wang find themselves reflecting on their feelings. Kevin Wang, feeling down about his love life, visits Sham Wu for advice under the guise of asking for a friend. Sham Wu, fully aware that Kevin Wang is referring to himself, still takes it seriously and offers heartfelt advice. In the office, Brian Chen voices her thoughts about not wanting to get married, unaware that Kevin Wang is listening. He gets upset by her comment. Later, Sham Wu warns Brian Chen about a gift potentially being given to the wrong person, which leads her to wonder if she made a mistake in giving it to Kevin Wang. When Kevin Wang calls Brian Chen into his office to discuss the situation, she misinterprets his intentions, thinking he is offering her a raise. Afterward, she realizes that Kevin Wang's behavior and the gift might not be coincidental, making her suspect that she gave it to him by mistake. Just as Brian Chen is about to clear up the misunderstanding, Kevin Wang's parents arrive unexpectedly, and Brian Chen gets caught holding the gifts. This leads Kevin Wang's parents to assume she is romantically interested in their son. Kevin Wang, encouraged by his mother's approval and touched by Brian Chen's supposed feelings, decides to give it a try. His mother even gives her jade bracelet to Brian Chen as a token. In the car, Brian Chen struggles to remove the jade bracelet, and she tries to explain the misunderstanding to Kevin Wang. However, the conversation leaves Kevin Wang frustrated, especially upon realizing how much of the situation was a misinterpretation. Sham Wu notices someone suspiciously following Alex Chen and calls her, but she ignores his call. He then contacts Brian Chen, who provides her sister's address. Sham Wu discovers that the stalker is Michael Deng, who is harassing Alex Chen to get back together with him. When Michael Deng gets aggressive, Sham Wu intervenes and beats him up, ultimately scaring him away. After Alex Chen calls for surveillance footage. After ensuring Alex Chen is safe, Kevin Wang takes Brian Chen home but leaves without much ado, disappointing her slightly. However, he returns with food, and they share a small moment as he peels shrimp for her, showing his care in subtle ways. Brian Chen, however, still doubts if she could be Kevin Wang's type, especially after Kevin Wang points out the lack of evidence against Michael Deng, which makes her feel distant from him again. Later that night, Brian Chen manages to remove the jade bracelet, and this simple act seems symbolic of her uncertainty about Kevin Wang's feelings for her. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang, restless and unable to sleep, gets up in the middle of the night for a run, indicating that his mind is also occupied by thoughts of Brian Chen. The Sham Wu, injured from his efforts to save Alex Chen, is at home recovering. Kevin Wang gifts him a wheelchair to aid his recovery. During Alex Chen's visit, Sham Wu seizes the moment to confess his long-standing feelings for her, revealing he has liked her since their school days. Alex Chen rejects his confession, but Sham Wu remains hopeful and asks that she not hate him for his feelings. While working, Brian Chen receives a call from her mother about David, the son of one of her mother's best friends. David, recently in town on a business trip, hopes to reconnect with Brian Chen, as they were childhood friends who lost contact over the years. Though Brian Chen is busy, she reluctantly agrees to meet him later. Meanwhile, her colleague Grace Tan overhears Brian Chen's conversation, learning about her potential blind date. Soon after, David sends flowers to Brian Chen's office, signed by Grace Tan, catching Kevin Wang's attention. He grows restless upon seeing the bouquet on Brian Chen's desk. After work, Brian Chen returns home to find David already waiting for her, courtesy of her mother giving out her address. Brian Chen prepares a nice dinner, and David straightforwardly explains that while his business trip is temporary, there is a chance of a permanent relocation to Brian Chen's city. He expresses his interest in spending more time with her, suggesting they formally get to know each other. Brian Chen makes it clear she has no immediate plans for marriage, focusing instead on her career. Despite this, David remains optimistic. Suddenly, Kevin Wang walks out of Brian Chen's bedroom, leaving her shocked, unaware of when or how he entered her apartment. David, visibly confused, inquires about Kevin Wang's presence. Brian Chen tries to downplay it, explaining that Kevin Wang is her former roommate. However, David treats Kevin Wang as an obstacle, assuming his relationship with Brian Chen will progress smoothly. Throughout dinner, Kevin Wang can't hide his jealousy and targets David, making Brian Chen feel awkward. In a private moment, David confronts Kevin Wang, asking if he also has feelings for Brian Chen, which Kevin Wang neither confirms nor denies. Frustrated, David leaves early. A few days later, David invites Brian Chen out for dinner. However, Kevin Wang appears again, this time shortly after they sit down. He continues to antagonize David, making the atmosphere tense. Brian Chen tries to apologize again for the mistaken gift she gave Kevin Wang earlier, hoping to end the awkwardness. Instead, Kevin Wang replies that if she wants the matter settled, she must provide him with free services for 3 days, clearly implying spending more time with him. Brian Chen is confused by Kevin Wang's behavior and begins to wonder if he genuinely likes her. Growing anxious over Brian Chen's interactions with David, Kevin Wang takes drastic measures to prevent them from meeting. He assigns Brian Chen a heavy workload, ensuring her time is filled and keeping her away from David. At his villa, he even spends his free time cleaning or shooting hoops, showing how uneasy he feels. Eventually, Brian Chen becomes frustrated by Kevin Wang's interference, especially as it impacts her job. She confronts him at the law firm and ultimately decides to resign. At that moment, Kevin Wang, in a state of desperation, stops her from leaving and confesses his love for her. Brian Chen is elated by Kevin Wang's confession. She hesitates to give her answer immediately. The next day at work, she finds herself looking for Kevin Wang, but he doesn't come in. Later, while working overtime, Kevin Wang surprises Brian Chen at the office and asks for her response. Before she can answer, Kevin Wang nervously recites a series of endearingly awkward love lines, which Brian Chen can tell were memorized from the internet. This is the first time she feels Kevin Wang's softer side. Just then, Andy Bao arrives to collect some documents, forcing Brian Chen to hide under her desk to avoid being seen. Andy Bao is surprised that Kevin Wang, a known workaholic, delays their case discussion until the next day but doesn't question it. After Andy Bao leaves, Kevin Wang helps Brian Chen out from under the desk, and they almost embrace. Kevin Wang leans in, and Brian Chen cautiously reciprocates, but she suddenly pulls away and runs out of the office, overwhelmed by how surreal it all feels. The next morning, Brian Chen struggles with how to face Kevin Wang after the events of the previous night. Upon arriving at the office, she overhears everyone gossiping about Mia Bai. It's revealed that Mia Bai, who previously cheated and led Daniel Su to despair, had hoped to marry Charlie after helping his company go public. However, Charlie chose to get engaged to the daughter of a media tycoon instead. In retaliation, Mia Bai announced her pregnancy, but the media tycoon used his influence to ruin her career. Meanwhile, the truth behind Daniel Su's suicide was also made public, leading to Mia Bai's complete downfall. Brian Chen is relieved that justice has been served and expresses her gratitude to Kevin Wang, as this case was one of her first significant involvements at Eric Lee. It holds personal significance to her. Kevin Wang, with earnest conviction, tells Brian Chen that anyone who tries to harm her deserves their fate. After dropping Brian Chen off at her apartment that evening, Kevin Wang insists on doing housework as an apology for how he previously monopolized her time for chores at his villa. Although Brian Chen doesn't take it to heart, she agrees when she sees his genuine intention. Things don't go quite as planned. As Kevin Wang cleans the living room, he knocks a ceramic cup off the table. Brian Chen quickly cleans up, redirecting Kevin Wang to tackle the kitchen. Unfortunately, he breaks 2 more plates while washing dishes. Brian Chen can't help but smile at the irony. Kevin Wang trying to help ends up causing more work for her. The next day, Kevin Wang calls Brian Chen to the information room, asking her if she has made a decision about their relationship. Brian Chen admits that the change in their dynamic is challenging for her to process. Kevin Wang reassures her, promising he won't pressure or force her, and he's willing to wait. Moved by his sincerity, Brian Chen stands on tiptoes and gently kisses the corner of Kevin Wang's mouth, an unspoken acceptance of his feelings. After they establish their relationship, Kevin Wang and Brian Chen begin going to and from work together, embracing their new status. One day, Kevin Wang finds out from Brian Chen's Weibo that she wants to eat malatang. He buys 3 different flavors and tries to heat them up using an electric pot, but ends up tripping the circuit breaker, creating a bit of chaotic yet lighthearted happiness. Kevin Wang drops Brian Chen off at her home. As he walks her to the door, he accidentally pinches his hand while closing the car door but doesn't mention it as he watches her leave. Later that night, they chat on WeChat, with Kevin Wang awkwardly trying to start a conversation by asking about an indictment revision, which makes Brian Chen laugh. The next day, Brian Chen tells her sister Alex Chen about her relationship with Kevin Wang. Although she's worried that she might not be worthy of Kevin Wang, as she is just an ordinary employee, Alex Chen reassures her. Alex Chen tells her that both of them are motivated, outstanding individuals, and they deserve happiness. Encouraged by her sister's support, Brian Chen decides to cherish her first love and fully enjoy every moment. Kevin Wang and Brian Chen continue spending time together naturally, with Kevin Wang frequently staying over. Kevin Wang's finger, supposedly injured from the car door, is wrapped in thick gauze, making him unable to hold chopsticks. As a result, Brian Chen feeds him bite by bite during dinner. Afterward, Kevin Wang claims he cannot drive with his injured hand, prompting Brian Chen to agree to let him stay the night. Kevin Wang, who is known for his cleanliness, insists on showering before sleeping. Brian Chen helps by bandaging his hand with a plastic bag. However, she soon realizes that his injury isn't as bad as he made it out to be. He was simply trying to create more opportunities to be close to her. At work, Kevin Wang approaches the chat group Ronghua Fu Gui while they are gossiping in the morning. His sudden presence makes the group, except for Brian Chen, uncomfortable, leading them to awkwardly disband. During lunch, the group gathers in the tea room to eat takeout, and Kevin Wang joins them once again after Andy Bao politely invites him. The three group members find themselves even more restrained and awkward, wondering why Kevin Wang seems to be acting so differently after work. Kevin Wang and Brian Chen wait for the elevator together. Nancy and Grace Tan also approach, ready to leave, but immediately separate when they see Kevin Wang, trying to hide their office romance. However, Nancy still holds Grace Tan's bag, but Kevin Wang, focused on keeping his own relationship under wraps, doesn't notice anything unusual. All four of them share an awkward elevator ride, each with their own secrets. Sham Wu runs into Alex Chen on her way from work and admits he was hesitant to ask for a meeting, fearing that Alex Chen might resent him. Alex Chen reassures him, mentioning that Michael Deng will no longer bother her, and suggests Sham Wu use an app to track her location if he's still worried, but only for emergencies. Meanwhile, Michael Deng confronts Sham Wu, accusing him of using underhanded tactics to steal his clients. Sham Wu retorts that clients only care about winning, and other factors are irrelevant. Kevin Wang learns that Brian Chen wants to independently handle a non-profit legal aid case. Impressed by her determination, he agrees to give her the opportunity, further strengthening their bond through mutual support. Kevin Wang, now dating Brian Chen, worries about their relationship and starts reading books on office romance to better navigate the situation. Meanwhile, Brian Chen is involved in a challenging legal case where her client, a woman, is seeking support from her child's biological father. Brian Chen pushes the reluctant man, Lu Jian, for a paternity test and successfully gets an admission, recorded in secret. The client is grateful, and Brian Chen even helps her buy food for her child. Kevin Wang calls Brian Chen into his office, worried about how she's handling her first difficult case. He then confesses to not sleeping well recently. He's been reading books about improving relationships. Brian Chen later finds one of these books, Love Secrets, on Kevin Wang's bookshelf. When Kevin Wang realizes it's missing, he anxiously tries to get it back from her. Despite some playful teasing, Brian Chen finally returns it. Their interactions are sweet, signaling their growing comfort with each other. At work, Sham Wu grows anxious when Alex Chen doesn't reply to his messages. He tracks her location and rushes to her side when he hears her screaming, thinking she's in danger, only to find out it was just a mouse. Alex Chen is touched by Sham Wu's concern, and they end up talking. Alex Chen encourages Sham Wu to express his feelings, which she happily accepts, marking the beginning of their relationship. The next morning, Sham Wu proudly shows Kevin Wang the tie Alex Chen lent him, clearly happy about their new relationship. Alex Chen even waits for Sham Wu outside the court after his session, making it official that they are now dating. Meanwhile, Brian Chen and Kevin Wang continue their sweet relationship moments, with Kevin Wang showing his affection by drying Brian Chen's hair after her shower. Even though Kevin Wang is preparing for a business trip, they share tender moments that show their bond remains strong. During their flight preparations, Kevin Wang's partner for the trip, Lily, approaches them, and they appear to be a perfect team, even sharing photos in their group chat. Brian Chen, meanwhile, accompanies her agent Angela to court. To her surprise, the opposing party turns out to be Michael Deng, who mocks her again. During the trial, Michael Deng presents unexpected evidence suggesting azoospermia, which shakes Angela, causing her to leave the courtroom emotionally overwhelmed. Later, Brian Chen, investigating azoospermia, receives a call from Kevin Wang, who pretends to be calling about something unrelated. In reality, he knows about her situation because he saw Andy Bao's photos on the living room surveillance video, showing Kevin Wang's caring nature even from a distance. In this episode, we see relationships evolving, Brian Chen and Kevin Wang getting closer and showing mutual care while navigating work challenges. Sham Wu and Alex Chen officially begin dating, highlighting the sweetness of young love. Despite the stresses of work and personal challenges, these moments show the characters finding solace in their budding relationships, adding warmth and romance to the storyline. Brian Chen is deeply concerned about Angela's legal situation. Though Kevin Wang is willing to help, Brian Chen wants to be self-reliant, so she heads to the hospital for more information. She enlists Nancy's help, and together they pretend to be a couple interested in being child-free, a dink couple, to investigate the hospital that issued a fake certificate. Their plan doesn't lead to any significant breakthrough, but it shows Brian Chen's tenacity and how she is determined not to lean too heavily on Kevin Wang. Meanwhile, Michael Deng orchestrates an online campaign against Angela, painting her as a morally corrupt third party. As public pressure mounts, Angela calls Brian Chen, overwhelmed and wanting to withdraw from the lawsuit. Brian Chen, unwilling to let injustice prevail, takes immediate action. She asks Nancy to draft a lawyer's letter and Grace Tan to help document it. Brian Chen rushes to Angela's residence to support her friend, while Alex Chen and Sham Wu, aware of Michael Deng's tactics, also head there to help. Upon arriving at Angela's residence, Brian Chen discovers that Angela has been attacked by individuals claiming to be friends of Tom A. Brian Chen quickly realizes that Michael Deng is behind this. Outside, villagers who don't know the full story are shouting at Angela's door. When Brian Chen steps out, she gets dirt thrown at her. Alex Chen arrives with the police and helps disperse the crowd, rescuing Brian Chen and Angela from the chaos. Brian Chen then takes Angela to a hotel to ensure her safety while Kevin Wang is at a case analysis meeting with Andy Bao and Lily. Michael Deng's actions come to light. Lily proposes celebrating their efficient work with a dinner, and Andy Bao agrees. However, Kevin Wang becomes increasingly anxious after hearing the news about the fake evidence and leaves the meeting early to call Nancy and check on Brian Chen's situation. His concern is evident, showing how much Brian Chen means to him. Brian Chen, in turn, goes to the archives room to look through threatening letters Kevin Wang had previously received. She learns that Kevin Wang had endured similar intimidation in the past, which strengthens her resolve. She is determined not to give up, drawing inspiration from Kevin Wang's resilience. Kevin Wang returns to lynching earlier than planned to take action. He goes directly to President Zhang of the Lawyers Association to lodge a complaint against Michael Deng for creating false evidence. President Zhang is hesitant but takes Kevin Wang's complaint seriously. Sham Wu arrives shortly after, suggesting that President Zhang conduct a thorough investigation, while also proposing an exchange that includes funding a new plan. Sham Wu's sincerity and adaptability help convince President Zhang to agree to an investigation. Kevin Wang's proactive approach demonstrates his commitment to justice and his desire to support Brian Chen and her friends. Later, Kevin Wang surprises Brian Chen by picking her up after work. Brian Chen is delighted by the unexpected gesture, and as they prepare to leave together, Andy Bao approaches them and requests a ride. Kevin Wang, who had planned to take Brian Chen out to dinner, reluctantly agrees, and the three head to a hot pot restaurant. During dinner, it becomes evident that Kevin Wang wants to spend time alone with Brian Chen, but Andy Bao remains oblivious to their growing closeness, leading to awkward moments where their mutual feelings are hinted at but unspoken. While eating, Andy Bao realizes that his wallet is missing, recalling that he last saw it at the airport. He isn't too worried since he knows there's airport surveillance. This triggers an idea for Brian Chen. She remembers that the court also has surveillance cameras, which could help them gather evidence for Angela's case. Excited by the thought, Brian Chen decides to leave the dinner early and heads home to start preparing documents for the next step. Determined to support Brian Chen, Kevin Wang rearranges his work schedule to ensure that he can return to lynching in time for Angela's court case. Despite the pressures of his own workload, Kevin Wang's actions show his dedication not only to justice but also to Brian Chen and her efforts. His prioritization of the case, and by extension Brian Chen, speaks volumes about his feelings for her. Before Angela's divorce case, Brian Chen, on the pretense of apologizing, gave Michael Deng a drink. After the trial, Michael Deng and Lu Jian celebrated with the drinks, unaware that Brian Chen had set a trap. Moments later, they saw people in white coats taking the bottles from the trash for evidence. Realizing he had been fooled, Michael Deng was embarrassed. Meanwhile, Brian Chen, Alex Chen, and Sham Wu stood nearby, satisfied at having caught Michael Deng off guard. Kevin Wang returned to lynching ahead of time to surprise Brian Chen. Expecting Brian Chen to be upset after the trial, he even prepared comforting words and made up stories to cheer her up. To his surprise, Brian Chen won. Brian Chen then requested a reward for her victory, for Kevin Wang to do something romantic like wear couple necklaces or sing love songs. While these weren't exactly Kevin Wang's style, he eventually agreed to cook for her as a gesture of his affection. After getting home from work, Kevin Wang decided to reward himself for Brian Chen's success. Since starting their relationship, they had yet to have an uninterrupted romantic moment, with their attempts frequently spoiled by Andy Bao or unexpected situations. Finally, in the privacy of the apartment, Kevin Wang and Brian Chen shared their first uninterrupted kiss. This intimate moment marked a new level in their relationship, making Brian Chen feel like the happiest person alive. After dinner, Brian Chen suddenly experienced severe stomach pain. Kevin Wang rushed her to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with acute gastrointestinal inflammation. Kevin Wang instructed the doctor to take special care of her, and in a tender moment, revealed that his father was a shareholder of the hospital, reassuring Brian Chen that she would be looked after. Moments later, Kevin Wang's mother also arrived, concerned and blaming Kevin Wang for not properly caring for Brian Chen. Though Brian Chen tried to defend him, Kevin Wang's mother, clearly very fond of her, refused to listen and instead showered Brian Chen with affection. Once Brian Chen was discharged, Kevin Wang began learning to cook for her, making sure she received nutritious meals. He thoughtfully prepared red dates and millet porridge and personally fed it to her, showing a more nurturing side of himself. This moment made Brian Chen realize the comfort and sweetness of their dynamic, being doted on by someone usually so strong and serious. As she ate, Kevin Wang's mother arrived at the apartment again, bringing medicinal dishes she had carefully prepared. Though Brian Chen couldn't eat much, she appreciated Kevin Wang's mother's thoughtfulness. Thanks to Kevin Wang's care, Brian Chen recovered quickly and was able to return to work. Soon after, she received the good news that Angela had won her lawsuit. At a staff meeting, Kevin Wang publicly praised Brian Chen for her work, and, to her surprise, assigned her a new case, a high-value family trust case. His recognition of her abilities, both professionally and personally, reaffirmed their strong bond and his belief in her capabilities. Kevin Wang secretly bought family planning supplies in anticipation of staying at a hotel with Brian Chen during the upcoming team-building trip. Meanwhile, Brian Chen prepared her clothes, including a suspender dress, which she quickly hid when Kevin Wang walked in unexpectedly, leading to an awkward but endearing moment. Once at the team-building location, everyone was set to compete for a private hot spring room. Kevin Wang, wanting to create time alone with Brian Chen, whispered that if she teamed up with him, they would win first place. Kevin Wang cleverly managed to get Brian Chen to team up with him, and they set off together. During their journey, it began to rain, and they had to find shelter in a pavilion, giving them a quiet and intimate moment. After the rain, they resumed their journey, but despite rushing, they ended up being the last to arrive. Instead of winning the luxurious hot spring room, they had to settle for a tent, much to Kevin Wang's disappointment. However, he hinted at having a second plan for alone time. Andy Bao, who had won first place, tried to find someone to share the hot spring room with, but no one wanted to join him. Left with no choice, he asked Brian Chen for help. Though Kevin Wang was visibly displeased, Brian Chen agreed to help. While they were moving luggage to the tent, Brian Chen and Kevin Wang were about to share an intimate kiss when they were interrupted by Sister Max calling them to dinner. At dinner, Shamwoo took the opportunity to invite Alex Chen to join their law firm, and Alex Chen expressed gratitude and promised to consider it in the future. After dinner, during free time, Brian Chen wanted to explore the night market, and Kevin Wang accompanied her. Kevin Wang even invited all his colleagues so that he could spend time with Brian Chen without raising suspicion. Just as they were about to share another kiss, Andy Bao began looking for them, and then Kevin Wang received a work call, leaving Brian Chen to join Andy Bao. Brian Chen was dragged to a nearby bar by Andy Bao, where they played Truth or Dare with Emily. When Emily asked who had given her a rose, Brian Chen chose to drink rather than answer, and soon everyone was drunk. As Brian Chen left the bar in a daze, she ended up near the tent and called Kevin Wang. When he found her, Brian Chen immediately hugged him. Though initially hesitant due to the presence of others, Kevin Wang eventually embraced her back. Even when the others arrived, a drunk Brian Chen kissed Kevin Wang, confessing her feelings. Kevin Wang had no choice but to admit their relationship to everyone and then asked them to leave so he could take care of Brian Chen. Kevin Wang took Brian Chen back to her room, gave her hot tea, and left her to rest. Later that night, as he was preparing to sleep in the tent, Brian Chen unexpectedly came in and kissed him. Kevin Wang reciprocated, and they finally shared an uninterrupted romantic moment before falling asleep in each other's arms. The next morning, Brian Chen woke up alone in the tent, feeling confused and unsure of what had happened the previous night. Shortly after, Kevin Wang arrived with a bouquet of wildflowers, making Brian Chen blush at the gesture. Meanwhile, Andy Bao, having seen Kevin Wang take Brian Chen back to the room the previous night, worried about the potential fallout and decided to help them keep their relationship a secret. After Kevin Wang and Brian Chen's relationship became public, everyone at the law firm started gossiping about them. Kevin Wang discovered that Andy Bao was among those gossiping and immediately told him to stop. Kevin Wang told Brian Chen that he had to go see his father that evening because something important had come up, meaning he wouldn't be able to spend time with her. Meanwhile, Andy Bao found out that Grace Tan and Nancy had been dating under his nose. Kevin Wang knew about it much earlier but chose to keep it quiet, making Andy Bao the last to know. While at work, Brian Chen received a call from her father, inviting her for dinner. He mentioned that his goal was to compete with another parent, showing whose child was more successful. Brian Chen, curious and amused, put on her finest clothes and agreed to go. When Brian Chen arrived at the hotel, she was surprised to see Kevin Wang. To her further shock, both their fathers were in the same private room. They were old classmates. Kevin Wang and Brian Chen entered together, and at first, Brian Chen lied, claiming Kevin Wang was just a freeloader tagging along. The two fathers started bickering again until Kevin Wang intervened, explaining that he was Brian Chen's leader at work and now her boyfriend. He urged both parents to accept their relationship. Kevin Wang's mother noticed the tension and saw that Brian Chen was still wearing the bracelet she had gifted her, leading her to happily accept Brian Chen as her future daughter-in-law. Not wanting to be left behind, Brian Chen's mother gave a bracelet to Kevin Wang as a meeting gift. Both mothers clearly wanted to lighten the awkward atmosphere. The fathers, though accepting each other's children, continued competing over who pursued whose child first. Kevin Wang's mother even brought up the topic of their wedding, which made Kevin Wang and Brian Chen very happy. This marked a formal meeting between the two families. To escape the family rivalry, Kevin Wang took Brian Chen to a record store, his secret retreat. The store's owner was surprised since it was the first time Kevin Wang had brought a girl there, which made Brian Chen feel special. Kevin Wang revealed that he used to come to the store to listen to music whenever he had trouble sleeping, and he had grown close to the owner. Together, they chose a record and enjoyed the music, savoring the beautiful moment. Later, Sham-woo called Kevin Wang, boasting about wanting to meet Alex Chen's parents. Although Sham-woo pretended to be annoyed, he was clearly pleased. Kevin Wang invited Sham-woo over, but Sham-woo, intending to brag about his relationship, was stunned to find out that Kevin Wang was already in a relationship with Brian Chen. After returning home, Sham-woo complained to Alex Chen, who also mentioned that Kevin Wang had met her parents. Sham-woo was surprised by how deep Kevin Wang and Brian Chen's bond had become. Brian Chen later encountered lawyer Liang at work. At first, she didn't realize who he was and ignored him while waiting for the elevator. Soon afterward, the firm held a meeting where Kevin Wang introduced Lily as a new partner. To everyone's surprise, Lily had done her homework on her new colleagues and knew everyone's name. Her impressive introduction made a good impression on everyone. Seeing Brian Chen approach Lily made Kevin Wang visibly uneasy. Lily even tried to present a gift to Kevin Wang's parents, but Kevin Wang refused, explaining that he now had a girlfriend and had no interest in getting close to anyone else. Lily reminisced about how she had fallen in love with Kevin Wang at first sight, and was determined to pursue him. Andy Bao later invited everyone to dinner, and Kevin Wang showed up, much to everyone's surprise. The others left, giving Kevin Wang a chance to be alone with Brian Chen. After learning that Kevin Wang hadn't eaten, Brian Chen decided to make porridge for him. Kevin Wang apologized to Brian Chen for appearing on a magazine cover with another girl, but Brian Chen assured him that she wasn't upset. Upon hearing rumors at the office about his relationship with Brian Chen, Kevin Wang knew he had to act. He returned from his business trip earlier than planned, determined to protect Brian Chen. Arriving at the office, he walked up to Brian Chen, held her hand, and publicly declared that she was his girlfriend, also emphasizing that he had pursued her. The moment was heartwarming, silencing their gossiping colleagues and giving Brian Chen the support she needed. Nancy even live-streamed the confession to Andy Bao, who was moved to tears, showing how significant this public declaration was to everyone close to them. After Kevin Wang's announcement, Brian Chen took up Lily's suggestion and transferred to her group. The atmosphere was different. Brian Chen wasn't given any significant work, leaving her feeling excluded. Lily assigned her trivial tasks and even kept her out of office meetings, essentially demoting her to an assistant. Meanwhile, Kevin Wang was aware that Brian Chen was having a hard time at work. She was given tasks usually handled by interns, like submitting information at the Market Supervision Bureau, and later asked to fetch documents under the bright sun. Despite these setbacks, Brian Chen remained resilient. After a particularly challenging day, Kevin Wang wanted to do something special for Brian Chen. He went home early and attempted to cook her a steak, though it ended up burnt. Despite his cooking mishap, Brian Chen appreciated the effort. During their meal, Brian Chen's phone showed a reminder that it was their 100th day together. Kevin Wang smiled and asked how she would rate him as a boyfriend, and Brian Chen responded with a high rating, emphasizing how happy she was with him. Brian Chen had been planning to buy Kevin Wang a gift to celebrate their 100th day, enlisting Emily's help. However, Lily, witnessing this, mocked her choice, implying it wasn't good enough for Kevin Wang. He then deliberately handed Brian Chen a difficult English document, taking up her time unnecessarily. During this busy day, Brian Chen barely had time to answer Kevin Wang's messages, which made him concerned. To comfort her, Kevin Wang ordered desserts for her, letting her know that he was there for her despite the challenges she faced at work. After finishing her work late at night, Brian Chen returned home exhausted, only to find that Kevin Wang wasn't there. She looked around, and just when she was wondering where he was, Kevin Wang emerged from another room, holding a cake for her. It was a touching gesture, showing his thoughtfulness and how much he cherished their relationship. This small but meaningful act left Brian Chen feeling loved and supported, ending a rough day with a perfect, romantic note. Begin with Brian Chen in her apartment, upset because Kevin Wang appears to have left for his business trip. Just when she's feeling disheartened, Kevin Wang surprises her by returning with a small cake. This emotional surprise brings joy to Brian Chen. Capture the heartfelt hug and kiss they share, and emphasize their deep connection leading to a romantic night together. The next morning, show Kevin Wang leaving quietly and leaving a pillow with his photo for Brian Chen, along with a note telling her to take care. This sweet gesture sets a caring tone. Show Kevin Wang, before boarding his flight, asking Grace Tan to look out for Brian Chen, further emphasizing his concern for her well-being. Cut to Lily delegating a divorce case to Brian Chen, emphasizing its difficulty with the client's unreasonable demands, including documenting even small household items. Highlight Brian Chen's perseverance as she meticulously records each item, followed by the client's demanding dinner, showcasing the unreasonable requests she has to endure. Show Brian Chen working overtime to compile the property list, and how Lily later sneaks into her desk to steal the crucial IOU document. Create tension with Brian Chen discovering the missing IOU just before the court session starts, leading to a high-pressure situation. Focus on the courtroom scene where Brian Chen faces the consequences of the missing IOU, with the client demanding compensation. Show her calmness as she presents transfer records and copies of the IOU, ultimately turning the situation around and winning the case, earning admiration from Jason. Conclude with Ms. Wu confronting Brian Chen at the office, creating a dramatic moment as she throws a raw egg in anger. Emphasize Brian Chen's composure and Lily's attempt to blame her. Wrap up with Sham Wu's intervention, reprimanding Lily and insisting on professionalism, hinting at potential repercussions for his actions. Start with Brian Chen in her office, struggling with her resignation decision. Include her video call to Kevin Wang, who is asleep, and her cooking instant noodles while being unsure about submitting her resignation. Highlight Kevin Wang's concern as he asks Grace Tan to keep an eye on Brian Chen before boarding the flight back, showing their deep bond. Show Brian Chen finally sending the resignation email to Sham Wu, who is caught off guard and unsure how to break the news to Kevin Wang. Add Grace Tan's plea to Sham Wu to retain Brian Chen, showing the support she has within the firm. Focus on Brian Chen packing her belongings, reflecting on all she has learned, and her emotional attachment to her time at the firm, especially her support for Kevin Wang. Include the heartfelt moment with Emily trying to stop Brian Chen from leaving, emphasizing the camaraderie between them. Show Kevin Wang returning to the office, surprised to find Brian Chen's desk cleared. Capture his interaction with Emily, learning about Brian Chen's resignation, and his reaction. Include the scene with Lily asking about the lipstick, and Kevin Wang's confession that it was for Brian Chen, showing his continued care for her. Highlight Brian Chen's resilience as she updates her resume to search for a new job, but also her moment of hesitation when she sees a photo of her and Kevin Wang, feeling conflicted. Include her returning home and finding Kevin Wang cooking for her. This scene underscores Kevin Wang's commitment, even though he isn't the best cook. Capture Kevin Wang's frustration over what happened to Brian Chen, as he decides to investigate and directly confront Lily about the missing evidence. Include the intense scene of Kevin Wang presenting surveillance footage and Lily's eventual confession, showing Kevin Wang's determination to clear Brian Chen's name. Show Kevin Wang's anger as he pressures Lily to apologize to Brian Chen, threatening to go to the police if she doesn't. Add Sham Wu stepping in as a mediator, reminding Lily of her responsibilities and the consequences of her actions. End with Kevin Wang returning home and trying to convince Brian Chen to come back to the law firm. Include their emotional conversation, showing how much Kevin Wang wants her back. Conclude with Brian Chen's internal struggle as she considers accepting Jason's job offer, ending on a note of uncertainty about her future. Start with Sham Wu having dinner with Alex Chen, being confronted by his ex-girlfriends, and later apologizing. This scene emphasizes interpersonal challenges and Sham Wu's handling of relationships compared to Kevin Wang. Highlight Sham Wu calling Lily to the office and discussing her actions. Emphasize the difference in Sham Wu's approach compared to Kevin Wang, and Lily's realization of her mistakes. Include Alex Chen's supportive thoughts about Sham Woo's way of managing the situation. Capture Lily meeting Brian Chen, discussing the fallout of her actions, and announcing her plan to study abroad. Show Lily apologizing to Brian Chen, and Brian Chen expressing her optimistic outlook despite the past. Show Kevin Wang calling Brian Chen to the rooftop, holding an apology sign, asking her to return to the law firm. Brian Chen comforts him, explaining her decision to join Jason's law firm to explore her options. Kevin Wang reluctantly agrees. Highlight Kevin Wang accompanying Brian Chen to her new job, then returning to his office visibly upset. Capture Kevin Wang's unexpected visit to Brian Chen's new workplace during the welcoming dinner, where he openly declares Brian Chen is his girlfriend after seeing Jason give her flowers. Show Kevin Wang struggling with jealousy, especially when seeing Brian Chen with senior colleague Leo Gu. Include how Brian Chen reassures Kevin Wang through messages, preventing his frustration from affecting his subordinates. Highlight Brian Chen's good performance in her new role, including her teamwork with Leo Gu and her colleagues' reaction after learning of her relationship with Kevin Wang. Show Brian Chen firmly telling them she wants no special treatment. Mention the magazine cover offer involving Brian Chen and Leo Gu, which Brian Chen declines to avoid misunderstandings with Kevin Wang. Capture the scene where Kevin Wang's mother visits Brian Chen's office, making tonic soup for her and discussing marriage. Brian Chen's lack of interest in marriage disappoints Kevin Wang's mother, but Kevin Wang supports Brian Chen's decision when his mother questions him. Conclude with a romantic scene on their anniversary, where Brian Chen and Kevin Wang share their thoughts. Highlight Brian Chen's goal of becoming a partner to prove her worth rather than being confined by marriage, and Kevin Wang's understanding of her ambitions. Emphasize their support for each other despite challenges. Begin with Kevin Wang apologizing to Brian Chen for last night's incident. Emphasize Brian Chen's feeling that Kevin Wang's attempts to help weren't respecting her wishes. Highlight their arrival at the Law School Alumni Association. Capture the awkwardness when they're asked about marriage plans, with Kevin Wang stating they don't intend to marry. Show Brian Chen's discomfort and her subsequent drinking of the wine. Show the discussion at the door where Brian Chen tells Kevin Wang she feels her opinion isn't being considered, and Kevin Wang's struggle to understand her feelings. Highlight Brian Chen choosing to go home alone. Mention Kevin Wang's hesitation to approach Brian Chen after returning home, and both characters feeling uncertain about how to move forward. Include Brian Chen turning to Alex Chen for comfort, and Kevin Wang discussing his issues with Sham Woo. Highlight Brian Chen choosing to go home alone. Highlight Kevin Wang's frustration spilling into work, taking it out on Andy Bao, and news spreading within the legal community about their breakup. Introduce the coincidence where Brian Chen and Kevin Wang end up on opposite sides of the same legal case. Show Brian Chen confidently discussing the case with Ms. Chen, proving her competence independently of Kevin Wang. Capture the tension between Brian Chen and Kevin Wang when they meet at the record store. Kevin Wang wants Brian Chen to back out of the case, but Brian Chen insists on her independence as a lawyer, emphasizing her frustration at not being seen as equal by Kevin Wang. Show Brian Chen speaking with Meng Ting, revealing her fears about her relationship with Kevin Wang, feeling she may not be good enough and fearing his efforts are wasted on her. Emphasize the emotional scene where Brian Chen learns about Ms. Chen's suicide attempt and rushes to the hospital. This drives Brian Chen's determination to fight for justice for Ms. Chen, revealing her passionate nature. Highlight Alex Chen's visit to Kevin Wang's home, bringing a puppy and encouraging Kevin Wang to take action. Alex Chen suggests Kevin Wang needs to express his feelings more openly if he wants to win Brian Chen back, and with Brian Chen calling Kevin Wang, suggesting they meet to avoid a court battle. Emphasize Brian Chen's insistence on balancing professionalism with compassion, urging Kevin Wang to see things differently. Show Brian Chen's emotional speech about the role of marriage, not just as a means of protecting assets but also of protecting love, hinting at her desire for a deeper understanding in their relationship. Kevin Wang and Brian Chen reconcile after resolving conflicts related to their work and personal misunderstandings. Brian Chen is touched by Kevin Wang's efforts, including leaving her breakfast and expressing his willingness to reconcile. Kevin Wang and Brian Chen assist Jenny in resolving family issues with her mother-in-law. The emotional reunion between Jenny and her mother-in-law shows the softer side of the protagonists. After resolving their issues, Kevin Wang admits that his views on marriage have changed and proposes to Brian Chen, which makes her very happy. They both apologize for past actions and decide to move forward together. Kevin Wang gets jealous of Brian Chen's dinner plans with her colleagues, prompting him to organize a joint company dinner. He tries to impress her by eating spicy food, which backfires as he ends up with an upset stomach. Kevin Wang takes care of Brian Chen's puppy, who accidentally eats chocolate. This incident leads to Kevin Wang staying over at Brian Chen's place due to a cold, where she takes care of him. This brings them closer together. This episode encapsulates the ups and downs in their relationship, ultimately bringing them to a point of deeper mutual understanding and commitment. If you need the full plot summary for you may want to visit a platform like for detailed recaps and additional information. S. Kevin Wang's desire to marry Brian Chen. Here's a recap focusing on the romantic and important scenes within the episode. Kevin Wang starts doing housework voluntarily, which makes Brian Chen happy, further solidifying their relationship and deepening their emotional connection. Michael Deng tries to tarnish Kevin Wang's law firm by spreading rumors about the Tianping Award and alleging that Kevin Wang is about to retire. This causes some panic in Kevin Wang's company, but Brian Chen supports Kevin Wang and persuades him to appear on TV to restore his reputation. Kevin Wang confidently goes on the TV show, taking Brian Chen as his assistant. His participation boosts his fame and earns him support from the audience. He also gets involved in a variety show during this period. During a live discussion about a divorce case, Kevin Wang exposes Michael Deng's manipulative behavior, gaining support from the audience. This marks a significant win for Kevin Wang over Michael Deng. Kevin Wang chases after Brian Chen and proposes to her. Brian Chen is deeply moved, leading to a romantic kiss. This scene marks the culmination of their relationship journey, filled with ups and downs but ultimately leading to their commitment to each other.